I'm all-pro cornerback Richard Sherman, and when I'm not chasing receivers, I'm trying to keep up with my kids. That's why Alberto beef jerky is my favorite snack. Alberto is delicious, lean beef, slow cooked and seasoned to perfection, all natural and all delicious. Alberto beef jerky is protein-packed, so I can keep up with my busy. Raiden, stop grabbing your sister's hair.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerkies. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
All right, a good Tuesday. Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. Be with you for the week, and then Stephen A. returns next Monday. Lot to get into. Knicks still very relevant. Yesterday did very little to move the needle for me. A lot of people are excited by Scott Perry, and that's fine. If you want to go in that direction, go in that direction. You know, the more I see of Mayweather and McGregor and a press conference every other day, the less interested I actually am in this fight. You know what where I am with these guys? The more I hear them and see them and watch them, the less likable, at least to me, they actually are. Is it possible that both guys lose on August 26th? All right, 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. We'll get to the Knicks. We'll get to the Redskins and Kirk Cousins and what's going to happen there. And, you know, from everyone you read and all the people and the analysts and the experts that really get into Kirk Cousins, sounds like he's probably going to play his last year with Washington, which if you're the Redskins, and we'll get into the value of him in a little bit, just be careful of that. Because for if you're going to move on from him, granted, he makes a fortune of money, and you don't want to lock him up to a long-term deal right now, and I guess the money he wanted was nowhere near the money that they wanted. But just be careful if you're Washington. Because if you move on from Kirk Cousins, look at the teams that have been looking for a quarterback forever. This guy, like him or not, is a 5,000-yard-a-season quarterback right now. Where does he rank? I don't know. But is he good? Yeah. I think that everyone would agree he's good. Now, if you're the Jets, do you make a play on him in the offseason if he's an unrestricted free agent? Well, let's see. Remains to be seen. But let's get going with the Yankees. And, guys, I think you have to be at the point where you're just so frustrated and annoyed and turned off and upset and angry and frustrated and all the adjectives you can use surrounding this Yankees team right now. Because, again, it's the same thing last night. You know, you actually got a really nice start from Brian Mitchell. He gave you 5 innings of 1 earned run. Now, 2 runs scored. Second run came around because of his error and mishap over at first base. But, you know, Aaron Judge 2 weeks ago, guys, was hitting .330. He's 1 for his last 21 right now. He took the collar last night. Now, nobody wants to pitch to him. That's still true. Even last night, Frazier led off, and Frazier's moved up to that 2 spot. He's hit very well, had a couple of doubles last night. But Frazier leads off the 8th with a double. They walk Judge, Holiday double play, Castro walked intentionally, and then Gregorius bunts. That, to me, just was a very strange, what are you bunting in that situation for? And then you go to the bottom of the inning, and I guess the Yankees' bullpen is so barren because they had everybody, it was overworked over the weekend against Boston, that Caleb Smith has to give you 3 innings. He gets hit around a little bit in the 8th, and then the Yankees lose 4-2. Kinsler comes out 1-2-3, 9th inning. This is the Twins. You know, and I know that the Twins have had a decent season, but this is the Twins. You can't, you know, the Yankees haven't won a series in a month. In a month now we're sitting here. They haven't won a series in a month. And you know what? For all the positivity, for all the we're ahead of the curve and we didn't expect to be this good so early and we started out 15 games over and we were 21-9, this club, guys, right now is 3 games over. They have taken all the goodwill. They have taken all the great start. They have taken everything positive, and they have flushed it down the drain. You say, you know what? This was a bonus year, Dave. The expectations for this year were non-existent. They were until they weren't. When you start out 21-9, and when you go 15 games over, and when you have a 5-game lead in the division, and when you have Aaron Judge is going to win MVP and Triple Crown and Rookie of the Year and everything, you know what? You change your expectations. And that's not just with the Yankees. It happens all the time. Giants last year. Expectations? Well, we didn't know. Changes when you look at the team and they're good. 2 years ago, the Jets, right? 10 wins, great year. Great year when all you had to do is beat Buffalo to get in? No. You change your expectations. And we talk about it all the time. All the time. And it happens in the reverse. A couple years ago, we thought the Knicks were going to be a decent team. They go out, they win 17 games. You change your expectations as the season moves forward. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. The Yankees right now have injuries. The Yankees right now are playing really bad baseball. I think they're 9-21 in their last 30. They haven't won a series in forever. They're playing Minnesota. And how about this stat? This to me is unbelievable. So the Yankees are 47-44. Just bear with me for a second here, okay? Yankees are 47-44. Twins are 47-45. So they have almost an identical record. Yankees are a half game better than Minnesota right now, right? Yankees have scored 161 more runs than the Twins. So it goes to show you, Yankees are blowing out the opposition when they win and losing very close games when they lose. But I saw the stat the other day. I was on vacation last week. Chapman blew the game on Friday. Yankees have blown 18 saves already this year. And you can finagle any stat you want to show how the bullpen should be better and it hasn't been and there's a problem. You can take any stat, and I say this all the time, any stat and use it to your advantage. But just to break it down like this, the Yankees have blown more saves this entire season, and we're a little more than halfway, than they did the entire year last year. Now, do they have injuries? You know what? When the Mets went through Syndergaard, and when the Mets went through Harvey and Matz and Cespedes and Conforto and Asdrubal Cabrera, you know what I heard from the Yankees fan? You know what? Maybe you have an issue with your training staff. You know what? Find a way to get it done even when you're banged up. Nobody's breaking out the violins for the Yankees. And now you turn to Luis Cessa tonight. Against who? I mean, if you're the Yankees and you can't get fat, and no pun intended, but you're the Yankees and you can't get fat against Bartolo Colon and his 8 ERA and being DFA'd from Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, you almost at the verge of you pack it up and go home. And another thing, and am I down on the Yankees? You're darn right I'm down on the Yankees. And when they went out to L.A. and they lost 2 out of 3 to the Angels, and then they went to Oakland and they lost all 4. You know what I said that Monday? No reason to worry. It's a bad week. It happens to everybody. There is absolutely no reason to freak out. You know what? Right now, sitting here, 3 games over, behind Tampa, there is absolutely reason to freak out. Absolutely. Minnesota's now half a game back. Kansas City is 2 in the loss. Texas is 3 in the loss. The Angels, Baltimore, Toronto are 5 in the loss. Now, do they still have a chance to get in? Sure they do. Can they turn it around? Sure they can. My point is this. They're playing such bad baseball, I don't know that I'm going to mortgage the future to bring in a stopgap starter for the rest of the year. I guess they've inquired about Lucas Duda. You want him? Make an offer. You can have him. As far as I'm concerned, give me something decent. You want Addison Reed? You can have him. You want Asdrubal Cabrera? You can have him. You can have anybody on the Mets that you make a decent offer for. But if I'm the Yankees, I'm not mortgaging my future for a team that is falling all over itself right now. And another thing, you should thank God you're in the American League right now. 47-44 would leave you 4.5 games out of the wild card in the National League. So, do I think the Yankees can turn it around? Of course they can. Do I think Severino has pitched well? Absolutely. Jordan Montgomery, pleasant surprise, brilliant. Aaron Judge, all that and more. It is time now to wake up. You can't lose series after series after series. And what kind of position do you put Brian Cashman in? You know, if he's going to inquire about either a Quintana who's already dealt and is obviously not going to happen, or, for instance, a Sonny Gray, you're going to mortgage for a team that is falling apart as we speak? I don't think you can do it. I think you got to dance with who you brought to the dance, and you got to see if you can make it out of this. Now, Pineda's going to be out for the year. I think he's actually undergoing the surgery later today is what I had seen. So he's done. So now it's got to be, no more Tanaka. He's got to be better late in the year, and we're finding a way. No. Now, Tanaka was good on Sunday, but next time out in Seattle, you got to get 7 one-run innings for a guy that's supposed to be your ace. And CC's pitched well, and Montgomery's pitched well. And here's the reason that you kind of have to be upset about the starting rotation. CC's pitched well. Montgomery's pitched well. Severino's pitched well. So 3 of your 4 real starters have pitched well, and you're still falling apart at the seams as we move towards the end of July. But we'll get to the Knicks, and we can have fun with them. We'll get to the Mayweather and McGregor fight. We'll have fun with that. NFL, and I can't wait. A week away from the start of training camps and controversy and quarterbacks, and Ezekiel Elliott is still a very, very hot story. But we start with baseball and the relevant team here. And the relevant team is the Mets lost last night too, but who cares, right? We've been there. We've done that. We've had the funeral for the Mets already. That ship has sailed. The Yankees are relevant. They keep playing like they're playing. They won't be for long. 866-ESPN. 866-729-3776. Rothenberg with you. In for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
All right, Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. We are, it's funny, like baseball. Yeah, I get excited about pitchers and catchers reporting, but I'm not like looking at the day and saying, all right, 8 days, 7 days, 6 days, 4 days, pitchers and catchers. NFL, 8 days. Giants open next Thursday, right? Rookies next Thursday. Training camp opens next Friday. And then what? Yeah, then there's a lot more to discuss, but it's not like life changes. Like, get me to September 10th. That's where you need to get me to. Get me to September 10th. Lock me in September 7th for college football. I even like the college football more early because it kind of gives you that flavor that football is back. But right now we sit here with the Yankees and with the Knicks and Mayweather and McGregor, and that, of course, is not far, right? A little more than a month away. Same night, I believe, as the Giants and the Jets, the all-important third preseason game. It's funny because there are, and it's probably those are the louder ones that get excited about preseason football. For me, let me see. Look, I don't need to see Beckham. I remember having an argument with an on-air host last year, and he says, I need to see Beckham make some plays in the preseason. I said, I don't care if Beckham doesn't play in the preseason. I need Beckham healthy for week 1 against the Cowboys. So do I need to see Snacks Harrison or if you're the Jets, Matt Forte or Bilal Powell or any team. No. What I'm interested in seeing is some of the better players just stay healthy. That's it. That is when I watch a preseason game, just stay healthy. All right, let's get to the Yankees. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Chris in the Bronx. Chris, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, Dave. How you doing today?
Good, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to comment on what you were saying before about expectations. And I think that, like a lot of things in life, there's what's stated and then there's what's really happening, right? And I think there's this idea that Yankee fans have the stated objective of every year, it's championship or bust, right? But you have this new generation of fans who, for 17 years, it's 2 championships, right? That's an amazing track record, but it's a far cry from we're winning at least a pennant every year, right? So I think people are a little more realistic that. As far as me, when I was looking at this season, I was just mainly happy with the new direction that the team started to go in.
Totally, Chris. On March 31st, if you and I would have had this very conversation, I'd say, Chris, on July 18th, the Yankees will be 47-44. You said, Dave, sign me up for it. But Chris,
I would say sign me up.
Yeah, but Chris, they were 21-9. They were 15 games over. A month ago, they were a club that was rolling along. If I had asked you a month ago, would you take 47-44? Would you have said, sign me up for it?
I'd be disappointed, But even when they were riding high, and 15 games over or whatever you said before, they were blowing teams out, 11-4, 10-2. The bottom's going to fall out eventually. The whole club can't hit like that all year.
I agree.
With one guy.
They'll come back to the means, but I didn't realize that they would fall apart. I mean, Chris, they have fallen apart in the last month.
Definitely. No, it's been a little shocking, and I didn't think it was going to fall apart this month much. But I will say that I think Yankee fans in general should just take solace in the new direction that we're taking. And I also just want to say last thing, thanks for listening. I love your point about how I'm not the entire thing there, Chris.
Listen, I got to run. I appreciate the phone call. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. I get it. You should be excited. The Yankees could lose 20 of their next 25, and you should still be excited. And by the way, anybody that was on this bandwagon of Greg Bird isn't really hurt, he's not physically tough, and he's mentally weak, and he's having surgery on the foot and is probably going to miss the rest of the season. At least it sounds like 8 weeks. So I always say this, and I'm a tough talk show host and a tough fan when it comes to expectations. When a guy says he's hurt, I do not question that. I don't. When a guy says physically he's not well enough to play, then admit that the guy is not right and leave him alone. So Greg Bird said he's not well, he can't play, and everybody comes out ripping him. And I guess there's a source in the Yankees organization that says maybe he doesn't have a desperation to play baseball. Well, now he has to have surgery. Is that just for fun as well? 866-ESPN. So you got Bird, you got Castro, you got Didi, you'll be rid of Headley in a couple of years. You got a young stud catcher. All right, your outfield is terrific all the way around. Gardner, Hicks. Ellsbury's a high-priced deal, but that's one of the few that'll be on this team after this year. Judge, you got Frazier. I mean, there is a ton of reason to be excited. Montgomery, Severino, Betances, tons of reason. But right now, would I be upset? Right now, would I beat this? I mean, how could you not be? There were 15 games over a couple weeks ago. They're 3 games over now. They've done a nosedive. And you can blame whatever you want to blame. The bullpen's been awful. The starting pitching hasn't been good. They haven't hit the baseball. Every time they pitch well, they don't hit. And every time they hit well, the pitching is lousy. That's what it's been like for the last month. And yet they're still clinging to that second wild card spot. And Tampa's just shot right by them. And Boston hasn't even played great lately. Your Yankees, the game that you can look at and say, thank God we got that one, was Saturday. Because do you realize that Kimbrel had not blown a save at home since he joined the Red Sox? It was his first blown save in Fenway Park in 2 years. In 2 years. 866-ESPN. Paul in Brooklyn. Paul, you're on ESPN Radio. Paul is not there. Let's go to Doug. Doug, you're on ESPN Radio, my man.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, sometimes it's a blessing. I like Bird. I like what he brings. I think he's going to be the future first baseman of the Yankees. But this kid Cooper is going to help out quite a bit. So getting Cooper, really, I think, is a good thing for the Yankees. But I think they still need a starting pitcher.
Of course they need a starting pitcher. I mean, you went Mitchell last night, who actually pitched well. You're going Sessa tonight. So, yeah, they need a starting pitcher.
Severino and who's the other one? Montgomery. Those two guys, those two kids are coming up. They're pitching well, but we need somebody else. And it's just disappointing, the back end of our bullpen, with Chapman and Betances. Betances pitched well the last game he played, last couple, but Chapman's just been a disaster for us.
Thanks for the call, Doug. I appreciate the phone call. And I remember saying this at the time, the way Joe Madden treated Aroldis Chapman last postseason was as if he was saying, I don't have to worry about the left elbow or left shoulder or left arm of this guy. He will not be back with this club. That's someone else's issue. And you know what? You didn't realize that at the time. It may very well be the Yankees' issue moving forward. 866-say-ESPN. I want to clarify something that may have been misunderstood that I said yesterday, and I will do it next. Rothenberg in for Stephen A., ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN app. We'll get to my point in just a moment. I want to spend a quick minute on this Kirk Cousins thing. I think the Redskins, who have been such a poorly run organization for such a long time, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they wouldn't make this guy a priority. Now, maybe you see something I don't see. He's good. He's really, really good. Is he Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan or Cam Newton or Drew Brees? No. But can you win with him? I would think so. I mean, they went to the postseason 2 years ago, and he didn't play well Week 17 against a Giants team that had nothing to play for last year, but the guy threw for 5,000 yards last year. He's good. If that were me, like, aren't you kind of in the market for somebody of that ilk? Like, isn't that what you're looking for? Now, of course, you'd love to have Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, or you know, somebody like that, Tom Brady, obviously. I'm not saying he's a top 8, 10, 12 quarterback, but he's better than middle of the road. Like, he's better than 14, 15. He's probably 12-ish. I'd rather have him than Alex Smith. I'd rather have him than whatever Denver has. I'd rather have him than Blake Bortles. I'd rather have him than whatever Houston has, Cleveland, Andy Dalton. Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco's an interesting one. See, the issue with Flacco, and you can't take it away, is the playoff runs he's had. Whatever the Jets have. I mean, how about this for a question? If you're a Jets fan, and I give you Kirk Cousins and say he's your quarterback for the next 7 years, could you sign on for that? Or do you say, no, I've got to get Josh Allen? Like, at least you know what he is. You know he's good. You know he's mobile. You know he's smart. You know he's coachable. You know he's led a team to the postseason. You know he could put up huge regular season games. What's not to like about him, to be honest? He had the 6th highest, and I know we manipulate stats. We talked about that earlier. He had the 6th highest QBR in all the NFL last year. Like, do I think that he's great? No, I don't think he's great. Do I think he's good? Absolutely. So, I mean, if I offer you free agent, Kirk Cousins, next, 5-year, $108 million deal, $45 million guaranteed. Is that a guy you want to get involved with? You say, no, I will wait for Josh Allen. I will wait for Josh Rosen. I will wait for Sam Darnold, which you have no idea what they'll be. Or I'm going to give you where does he rank? 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Where does he rank? 10, 12, in that range? I would say so. You know he's good. He's not Roethlisberger. No one ever said he was Ben Roethlisberger. He's not Andrew Luck. Is he that much worse? And I know Cowboys fans are going to get incensed at this. Is he really that much worse than Dak Prescott? Now, you put Kirk Cousins on under center for that Cowboys team. You don't think he's even better? He's got an elite running game. Right now, quickly, who was the running back of Washington last year? Exactly. You have no idea, right? They switch from year to year. It's Alfred Morris 2 years ago. Who was it last year? The kid from Florida. Then they moved on to that rookie running back. You have no idea. Was it Matt Jones to start the year? And he was awful. They moved on to the other kid. That's my point. If I was a Jets fan and Kirk Cousins was available, would I draft? Would not draft him? Would I sign him to a deal? Yeah, I think I probably would. I like him. I don't think he's the greatest, but do I think you can win with him? Yeah. Do I think that if you put the right team around Kirk Cousins, you can win a Super Bowl? I think I could try. I think I get close. I think if I put a really good defense around that, I'll tell you what, you put Kirk Cousins instead of Mark Sanchez on those Jets teams back in 08, 09. Do I think they have a real chance to go places? Further? Super Bowls and win? He's better than Mark Sanchez. We can leave it at that. All right, 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. So I want to just touch on the Knicks from yesterday because I was on during the press conference, and then I reacted after it, and people were very upset. Dave, you're so negative with the Knicks. And here's my take on it. Look, I think Scott Perry, maybe he'll be great. No one, and I mean this sincerely, No one wants Scott Perry to have more success with the Knicks than I do. No one. But my point is this, and you can argue and get angry, and Dave, you're wrong, and I don't care. I have watched this organization fail year after year after year. From Larry Brown to Phil Jackson to Donnie Walsh to Glenn Grunwald to Scott Layden to Ed Tapscott. I mean, you name it, you pick it, I've watched it fail. Guys I didn't know, huge name guys that'll wind up in the Hall of Fame, guys that'll never get a job again. So my take on it was this, and I think people kind of misconstrued and went in a different direction. I would have preferred going to one of the better teams in the NBA, a San Antonio, a Golden State, a Cleveland with, say, a David Griffin, and poaching one of their second-tier guys. Rather than go, and you can disagree, and that's fine, rather than go and pick a guy who, outside of being an assistant and having success with the Pistons in the early 2000s, has not had a ton of success. And look, I heard him on the Michael Kay show yesterday. He seems like a great guy. I wish him nothing but success. I hope he hits the ground running. It sounds like he's going to lock the gym door and stay in there and watch Guy, play game after game after game after game. That he's going to be going to Duke on a Monday and LSU on a Tuesday and UCLA on a Wednesday and Michigan on a Thursday and Ivy League on a Friday and do it all over again on the weekend. So I don't question his work ethic. I don't question his competency. I don't question Scott Perry as a basketball mind. My point is this, is I have been taken down a bad path over and over and over and over by this organization. Guys that are going to be the greatest in the history of the game and guys that will never work again. And it sadly has not worked out in a very long time. So my point was this, to reiterate. Not that I don't think Scott Perry is capable. He may be great. But I'm so downtrodden as a fan of this team and this organization that until it changes, I just don't believe it. You have to show me. Show me. They talked about Neely Keena. And then, the way the whole thing went down, guys, is Phil Jackson makes the pick. What happens if Scott Perry, who may be the best basketball mind since Dr. James Naismith, what happens if he's locked away in a room in Sacramento saying, boy, oh boy, if I was running a team like the Knicks, I'd take Dennis Smith Jr. Well, now I got a guy that Phil Jackson demands because he's comfortable in the triangle. You feel good about that? How can you feel good about that? So I'm sorry if I'm hard on this team. And I'm sorry if it's frustrating as a Knicks fan to watch this organization go through the doldrums year after year after year. But it is hard, and it is frustrating, and that's how I feel. And if you can't handle it, then I'm sorry. You can tweet me. You can be all angry about it, at Rothenberg ESPN. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Put together a competent team, and I will be all on board. But sadly, every time I buy in, every time, and there was no one more on Phil Jackson than me. I was so excited. It's going to work. Larry Brown. I was there the day they hired Larry Brown. I had an interview with Larry Brown. Oh, this is a guy that can take any organization. He made the Clippers relevant. He made the Nets relevant. He can make any team good. He took Kansas with Danny Manning and nothing, and they won a national championship. He couldn't win here. Stephon Marbury couldn't win here. So I don't know if you believe in curses, or I don't know if you believe that this franchise just isn't well run from top to bottom to middle to whatever, but you're right. I'll buy into it when I see it. Right now, I don't. And if that makes me a bad fan or a bad host or a bad guy or a bad whatever, then that's what it makes me. Matt is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Matt?
How you doing, buddy? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
Just want to talk about the Kirk Cousins thing. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and to be honest with you, I would take Cody Kessler or Brock Osweiler over Kirk Cousins any day of the week.
Well, how is this even humanly possible? You would take him over Osweiler?
Osweiler would be close, but Cody Kessler I would definitely take over Cousins. I saw
what is the rationale behind making that point?
Well, Cody Kessler actually led the league last year in passing percentage out of the pocket, and he was number 3 in yards passing out of the pocket. He's a young guy. He doesn't turn the ball over that much. He doesn't have a lot to work with, I'll give you that. But I think Cody Kessler is a lot more promising than Kirk Cousins.
So if Cody Kessler, Matt, if Cody Kessler is the real deal and the answer, why did they draft another quarterback this year?
That's an awesome question.
Yeah, not terrible, right? Like if he's the guy, if he's the future, if they are looking the same way, and thanks for the call, if they are looking the same way at their team that you are, and his quarterback rating in the pocket, and he doesn't turn the ball over, and he does this well, and he does that well, and everything clicks at a fever pitch, then why did they draft Deshaun Kaiser this year and talk about him as their quarterback of the future? Plus the fact that Kirk Cousins, that Cody Kessler can't stay healthy for more than 2.5 minutes of any game. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. So Yankees and they're faltering, which, to be honest, I enjoy greatly, on the table. Kirk Cousins, and if you take him and accept him as the Jets quarterback next 5 years starting in 2018, I'm giving you Kirk Cousins just for money. You taking it? Or you want somebody behind door number 2? And then the Knicks. And if you can look at this and say, you know what, Dave? I disagree. Or you can agree. Either way, I need to see something before I'm going to get excited about Scott Perry. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Rothenberg with you in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app. Knicks and this Kirk Cousins story are two of the big stories. I guess the latest now, and we'll learn more as more information comes out, is that maybe, in fact, it was not Ezekiel Elliott who broke the nose of that bar patron down in Dallas. So that may work in his favor. Then I was reading another story earlier. It said that he was speeding earlier this year going 100 miles an hour and got pulled over and got a ticket. So, you know, if I were Jerry Jones, and he's dealt with guys like this in the past, I would pull out all the stops because he's so good and he's so young, and you don't want him to go off the tracks. And, you know, again, going 100 miles an hour it's not good, but it's not the end of the world. But when you factor it in with the allegations and the ongoing investigation at Ohio State and St. Patrick's Day, right, where he's ripping the top off a woman, and God knows what happened here with this Dallas bar on Sunday. It's a lot of things. And the more people you hear discuss it, the more likely it kind of feels like he's going to be suspended for that opener against the Giants week 1 on September 10th. Here's the question for you. If you had the number 1 overall pick in fantasy football, right? Number 1 overall pick. What are you taking right now? And I guess, are you affected by Elliott and the unknown? Le'Veon Bell, you go there, but he seems to get hurt for a game or two every year. Who else? I think David Johnson would be my guy. I think that's because, first of all, the guy's going to catch 4 or 5 passes a game. They can line him up as a wide receiver. It's unbelievable what they do. He can take it to the house any play. He's the goal line guy. He's the third down guy. I would go David Johnson 1. But right now, are you scared away from Ezekiel Elliott because of all the discussion about him? 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. So I'm going to read you Kirk Cousins' stats the last 2 years, and you find the negativity here, okay? Played 16 games in 2015, so 2 years ago. Completed 70% of his passes for a shade under 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 7 300-plus yard games. Okay? Last year, started every game, 67% completion percentage, 307 yards a game, 4,900 yards on the season, 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Looks pretty good to me. And not only do you look at the stats and look at the numbers and say he's good, you watch him. The eye test. He's good. He's a really good quarterback. Is he in the top tier? No. We can break him down, the top tier, the second tier, the third tier. He's probably bottom of the second, top of the third, in my mind. Chris in Tom's River. Chris, you're on ESPN Radio.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Thanks for taking the call. Diehard Jets fan, and I'm just curious, how much of a probability is it that Kirk Cousins actually does come to the Jets?
It's probably very unlikely because everything I'm hearing is he's going to wind up on the Niners after this year. But
oh, really?
Yeah. But if he's a free agent, then he could go anywhere he wants.
So what's the best option for the Jets? I mean, coming next year, because I know McCown's probably not going to hang around for long.
No, McCown will be gone. Petty will probably be gone. Hackenberg may be the backup. The best option for the Jets is, even though they don't want to tell you that this is what they're doing, is to have a really bad season and draft one of these young stud quarterbacks in the top
Well, I mean,
I
expected that, to be honest with you. Just shoot low and then try and get one of the high draft picks. But I was hoping that wasn't the case. But all right. Sounds good.
All right, Chris, thanks for the phone call. Well, what are the other options right now? Right? I mean, what are your other alternatives if you're the Jets? To do what? They're not going to win more than 5 games. And I guess, you don't want to win 5. You don't go 5-11. You'd rather go 2-14. And now Sam Darnold is telling you, I may stay. Don't bank on me. You know what? If he's going to be the real deal, if he's going to be the next Andrew Luck or Mariota, that's the thing. Mariota's getting better and better. Jets had a chance to get him. Now, they didn't pass him by, but they could have either moved up or, remember, didn't they beat Tennessee that year to not get that second overall pick? That could be the guy that you look at and you say, oh, man, we had a real option at him, real opportunity at him. But, yeah, we know this. We discuss this all the time. It's all about the quarterback. You can go through the entire NFL right now. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. And then there's like that one team a year that has a mediocre quarterback that somehow winds up finagling their way so they have a chance at the postseason, right? Or that miracle team that has Trent Dilfer that wins a Super Bowl, or Brad Johnson that wins a Super Bowl, or Peyton Manning in the last game of his career that wins a Super Bowl. But that's few and far between. The norm is that if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. 866-SAY-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Lot to do. Rothenberg with you in for Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
I'm all-pro cornerback Richard Sherman, and when I'm not chasing receivers, I'm trying to keep up with my kids. That's why Alberto beef jerky is my favorite snack. Alberto is delicious, lean beef, slow cooked and seasoned to perfection, all natural and all delicious. Alberto beef jerky is protein packed, so I can keep up with my busy. Raiden, stop grabbing your sister's hair.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerkies. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
All right, Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. Smith, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. I'll be here all week. Stephen A. comes back from his vacation on Monday. Next week, NFL gets rolling. Everyone reports to camp, and I guess they start filming Hard Knocks. You know what? I don't even know who the team is. No, who's the team? You probably know who it is. Tampa. That'll be very exciting. What's exciting about Tampa? Winston, I guess. Mike Evans. Not a lot, right? All right. So Pro Football Focus, although that show kind of gets the juices flowing for the start of the NFL season. Pro Football Focus ranks all 32 NFL teams' secondaries heading into the season. So let's start at the bottom, and then we'll work our way up. Eagles are last. Saints, and then I'll just kind of give you the ones that you care about. Jets are 28. Morris Claiborne there, of course. Marcus Williams, Buster Screen. And they drafted a couple of safeties early on, Jamal Adams and Marcus May. So Jets are 28. Cowboys 23 right now. Redskins 21. So even with the great Josh Norman, they only check in at 21. With Swearinger, Norman, Will Blackman, and Bashard Breeland, who they say is just a horrendous cover corner. Tennessee, Dolphins 19, Lions 17, Packers 16, Raiders 14, Steelers 12, Cardinals, even with Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu is 11. Chiefs, Marcus Peters, but they're 10. Chargers are 9. Vikings 8. Ravens 7. Jaguars, right? They spent big money on the corner that I forget his name, A.J. Bouye, I guess his name is, from Houston. Jalen Ramsey, they drafted him as well. Falcons 5. Broncos 4. Seahawks 3. We know how good their secondary is. Patriots 2. The number 1 ranked secondary by Pro Football Focus heading into this season, the New York Football Giants. Cromartie, Jenkins, Collins, Andrew Adams, who gets a very high ranking. And they don't even have Eli Apple listed on here. So, yeah, Giants secondary, very, very good. Giants front 4, very good. Secondary, very good. Middle 3 leaves a little bit to be desired. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Dominic is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Dom?
What's up? How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I wanted to comment on the Kirk Cousins situation. Now, I called a couple of weeks ago. You might not remember me, but I called a couple of weeks ago, and you got on me about picking Kirk Cousins as my offensive player for who would I choose as offensive, defensive players, or whatever.
Well, yeah, because that's ridiculous. If you could have any young quarterback to start your team with, you would take Kirk Cousins. Is ridiculous.
Maybe I would do his career differently, all right? You got to consider the fact he was behind Robert Griffin for 3 years, or 2.5, 3 years, not as a starter. Imagine if he'd have started from the beginning, his career could be different.
All right, well, we don't need to revisit that call. Let's go to where we are now. Right. Where are we now with you?
Right. Right now, I respect what the Redskins are doing with Kirk Cousins, even though it may be a mistake, may prove to be a mistake or whatever, but I respect what he's doing because what they're doing as an organization, you don't want to pay anybody, just to be a quarterback just because he put up good numbers, whatever.
But is he, Dominic, is he just in, here's the question, is Kirk Cousins in your mind just in anybody? Because in my mind, he's really good.
He is. He is very good. I feel like the Redskins want him to be able to show that he can take a team deeper into the playoffs and be the leader of the team.
So you're going to, how many guys haven't done that early on in their starting career? I can think of 20 guys who early on in their career didn't take teams deep into the postseason.
Right.
Right. So now the guy, I think you're playing with fire. I think you're playing with huge fire if you're Washington because you have a guy who's good. He's not great. Again, he's not Roethlisberger. You could run through the teams. He's not Drew Brees. He's not a great quarterback. But I think if you put a good defense around him, look, they don't have much of a running game. They don't have much of a defense, and he still led them to the playoffs and the precipice of the playoffs back-to-back seasons.
Yeah,
so for
I
me,
definitely understand that.
Yeah, so I just think that you make a mistake. Thanks for the call. Now, I get it. You don't want to pay a guy that kind of money. Well, I got news for you. You have to pay quarterbacks that kind of money. When they're up, Andrew Luck was up, got paid huge. Whenever that quarterback is up, you have to pay him. And we say, I can't believe that this guy's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Well, believe it, because it'll continue to change over and over and over. It'll be Cousins. It'll be, moving forward when Mariota's up, he'll get paid a lot. But I ask you this. He's better than what Buffalo has. He's better than what Miami has. He's better than what the Jets have. He's better than what Cincinnati has. He's better than what Cleveland has. He's better than what Houston is 6, Jacksonville's 7, Denver is 8, Kansas City is 9. So he's better than 9 in the AFC. Is he better than Dallas? I don't think it's that far off. I really don't. You put Kirk Cousins on that team, and I think that they're, if not as good, just about right there. The Giants are interesting. Now, I don't think he's better than Eli, but if I was taking a quarterback based on age, I'd clearly take Cousins. Wentz, I don't think you could take him over Wentz. Chicago, you take Trubisky or Glennon or Cousins. I think I don't know. Lions, no. Packers, no. Vikings, certainly. Falcons, no. Panthers, no. Saints, no. Bucks, no. Cardinals, I think you'd have to say yes at this point. Rams, I think you'd probably take him over Goff. Niners, yes. So he's probably, 13 to 15. Does he deserve to be the highest paid quarterback? It's just a timing issue. No, he doesn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback. It's a timing issue that his time is up to get paid right now. Pete in Oceanside. Pete, you're on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks had a good GM since Walsh, and Jim Dillon doesn't really have a good track record of hiring, so I definitely feel frustrated. I wish they would have signed Griffin. And with the Jets, I would sign up on Kirk Cousins because what else is out there? And the only thing I would look at is the money situation with the Jets, with their cap is.
But here's the difference, Pete. Just to play the flip side of it, if I'm going to go 2-14 and have the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft, and I can get either Sam Darnold or Josh Allen or Josh Rosen or one of these big time quarterbacks, I'm going to pay them virtually nothing for 4 years with the rookie salary cap. If I get Kirk Cousins, I'm going to have to pay him a ton for the next 4 or 5 years. So therein lies the big advantage for having a good young rookie quarterback.
Well, yeah, I would say sign Cousins if it's feasible, and if you finish with a top 3 pick, take one of the quarterbacks. No,
you're not going to do that. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Thanks for the phone call. No. Well, you can't invest everything into quarterbacks. You can't spend huge money on Kirk Cousins and then draft a quarterback 1, 2, or 3. I mean, the Bears did something similarly, but I don't think it's to that level. Like, Glennon is a backup who you want to give a chance to start. Cousins, we know, is a competent starter in this league. 866-ESPN. Jimmy Rockland, you're on ESPN Radio, Jim.
Hey, good afternoon, Dave. Always a pleasure. How's everything going, sir?
I am doing well, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You just said it, though, in regards to Cousins, right time, right place. Is he that good? No, but the market's going to give him a bundle of money. And I'm the Jets. I just can't justify that, Dave. The Jets need so much help everywhere. The one thing I was saying to your screener is, though, his defense is going to be good. The problem is I don't know if they're going to be able to get off the field because I don't think the offense can score any points.
Jimmy, we have this thought that the Jets defense is so good, and they do have pieces, individual pieces that you look at, you're like, boy, Wilkerson's good, and Leonard Williams is good, and you think that the Jamal Adams will be good, but I just, every time I think the Jets have a defense that's really good, they seemingly let me down. So I kind of need to see it before I'm going to believe that the overall defense is going to be good with the Jets.
Okay, can I ask you another question? Do you think some of the defense's deficiency is the play calling? The players don't get put in the right position at times? Because, I'm a season ticket holder. I'm at every game. I'm like, where's this guy? Where's this one? I know they gave up a lot of long drives. And I go, but the defense should be pretty good. But, Dave, I'm on board with you. I don't want to win 5 games. If I'm going to win 5, I want to win 2.
Yeah.
And let's go.
That's right.
And keep it going from there. I mean,
yeah, Jimmy, I think you hit the nail on the head, and thanks for the phone call as always. I think that has to be the philosophy. I mean, in your wildest dreams, what can the Jets potentially be? Like, if everything hit, what could they be? A 5-win team, maybe a 6-win team? Like, how are they going to score points? And granted, their running backs are going to be good, and I like Nunwa, and Safarian Jenkins apparently has gotten himself into just in sensational shape, and we'll see what the other young receivers are able to do, and the kid from Alabama. But, I mean, when you compare this offense to every other offense, it's laughable. Look at the Cowboys. Look at the Jets. Look at the Giants. Look at the Jets. Look at all these clubs, and then compare them to what the Jets are. And it starts at the top with every club. Their quarterback is laughable. You got McCown is like 1-16 or some insane stat in his last God knows how many starts. Petty has done nothing for me. And Hackenberg, everyone that watches him play, said it's laughable. So could it be that it surprises us? Sure. Do you expect that to be the case? I don't. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Rothenberg with you in for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app. Little NFL on a July 18th day where it's 90 degrees outside, but what could be better? Yankees obviously continue to falter. If the Yankees don't put up 6 runs off Bartolo Colon, I mean, Aaron Judge is, 1 for his last 21. His average down to 311. And you can't blame just him. But, I mean, you've got to go out there. I mean, Bartolo Colon is Iron Mike at this point. He's a batting practice pitcher. Surprised nobody brought him to the home run derby and said, serve some up for me and let me take him out. If you can't find a way to score runs off this guy, because Cess is on the mound, and you don't know what you're going to get. Cess is certainly not great. You got to score runs tonight if you're the Yankees. And tomorrow you go against Minnesota's probably best pitcher, that Jose Berrios kid. So, yeah, Yankees need to score runs tonight. Mets and, Montero's on the mound tonight, so you probably watch the Cardinals go round and round and round the bases. Wheeler was good last night until he wasn't. He was good through 5, and then he had a really rough 6th inning. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Jake wants to talk NFL. Jake, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, what's up, man? Just talking about the Kirk Cousins contract. I think he's way overpaid for what he's worth. I mean, he's had 1, maybe 2 good years, not even good, but I don't think he's better than 9 AFC quarterback. I mean, I think Andy Dalton's better.
You think Dalton's better? I wouldn't take Dalton over him. All right, that's fine. You could say it. You think Tannehill's better than he is?
I think Dalton's better than Tannehill, to be honest. I think Cousins is better than Tannehill. I think Alex Smith and Andy Dalton are both better than Kirk Cousins, just because they've been there, they've won.
Well, what do you want him to? What do you want him to do? He's been the starting quarterback for 2 years, and he's thrown for 4,200 and 5,000 yards. He's thrown 54 touchdowns to 23 interceptions, and he started every game in 2 years. What are you looking for him to do that he hasn't done?
I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm just saying that I don't think he's worth the money he's getting. I think, obviously, it's just the timing of his contract. That's why he got paid the amount he did, because he had a really good season last year for him.
No. Here's where you're wrong, and you're right about this, Jake, and thanks for the phone call. The timing is what works in his benefit, because he continues to come up for a contract. Although, and God forbid, I mean, Joe Theismann happens to him this year, right? That severe injury. He doesn't have any more money down the road. Now, look, he's getting paid, $30 million, some insane, or $24 million, whatever the crazy number is. But if he suffers, like other guys have guaranteed money locked in for 4 or 5 years. He's got this year, and that's it. So that is the risk. And look, he'll have more money than he'll know what to do with for the rest of his life. But you say, for him, he had a good year. No, not for him. 4,900 yards, 67% completion percentage, 25 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He didn't have a good year for him. He had a good year. He had a great year. Let's be honest. He had a great year. Ryan Tannehill, I'm getting on Twitter, you're not giving Tannehill the credit he deserves. I'd take Cousins every day of the week over Tannehill. You're crazy. Lewis in Jersey. Lewis, you're on ESPN Radio.
Dave, why would you put that Joe Theismann injury, like that image in my head, man?
I'm sorry.
So bad.
Listen, the Giants lost that game because of that injury, so I don't have fond memories of it either. What's on your mind, Lewis?
Hey, I was wondering, is Kirk Cousins the one that tried to start the union for the NCAA players?
I have no idea.
I think he was, and if so, I feel like he's doing good, man. If he gets what he wants, he's gonna guarantee people the money they deserve, because NFL players really are underpaid. Even though it's ridiculous, they're getting millions, but still
they're
for
not
what they do
they're
to
not
their bodies.
underpaid.
Yeah,
they're not underpaid. What they are is they when you look at baseball, you look at basketball, and the second you put pen to paper, that money is guaranteed. And the difference in the NFL is very little of most contracts are guaranteed. So it's not that they're underpaid; it's that the money is not guaranteed to them, and that's what makes it very difficult.
Yeah. Also, hey Dave, I'm gonna remind you. I'm gonna call you back again in a few months. You're still gonna do that soccer thing, right?
What's
for
the soccer thing?
For the World Cup. See, so you did forget. Okay.
I'm not perfect. What's the soccer thing?
Okay, you remember I called you a few months ago. Maybe obviously you don't. That you were gonna do. You were gonna rent out a bar or something and watch the World Cup event. Pretty much the soccer team play.
No, I don't believe this conversation ever took place. I said I would rent out a bar and watch the soccer team play.
Yes. No. And I even told you, I was like, Dave, are you sure you want to do that?
No, I never said that. I think either you're Lewis. One of two things: either you're inebriated right now, or I was inebriated when I made that statement. But I'm gonna go back on it right now. I'm not renting out a bar now. If you want to rent out a bar, thanks for the call, Lewis. If you want to rent out a bar, and we can have a listening party and watch the Team USA over at the bar that you rent, that's fine. But I never said I'm renting it. I'm not renting a bar. There's no way. I like the World Cup. I'm into the World Cup. I'll watch it. I think there's some cup going on now. I think there was some game last night. Who was it? It was like some big European team played like Real Salt Lake or something. Well, the ICC, whatever that means. But I noticed that whoever that team was, they beat the MLS team 2-1. Chelsea United? Manchester United. Chelsea United didn't make sense. But I was actually talking soccer last week. During my vacation, I was talking soccer about how I love relegation. Right? The bottom three teams go down to the division lower, and the top three teams of the division lower come up. It's great. Love relegation. But what stinks about soccer is, there's no salary cap. So the best teams, the teams with the most money, can spend the most money and typically get the best players. You can buy players. You can just turn around to a team and say, we would like to buy this guy from this team and bring him onto our club. It's just, there's no draft. It's pure free agency in soccer. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. And the Yankees and what they've now become 3 games over. You've got Kirk Cousins, and some people like him, some people don't, but you can't deny the fact, at least to me, that he has turned himself into, if not an upper echelon, a very good quarterback. And how about this? Are there 2 more unlikable guys than Mayweather and McGregor? And maybe you listen to these press conferences, 4 of them, mind you, and you're like, oh, Dave, this is riveting. To me, I'll tune in on August 26th, but if I don't hear these guys speak up until then, I'll sign for that right now. 866-ESPN. Rothenberg in for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Dave Rothenberg with you in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app. You guys are helping me on Twitter, telling me that the U.S. men's national team is competing in the Gold Cup right now. I think Mexico, I know everything going on. I think Mexico is doing well there as well. Mexico, right? Those are the 2 best teams in this region. Is that the CONCACAF region? Is that what they call it? See? 866-ESPN. This is what I do. Have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of useless things. Not that soccer's useless, of course. 866-ESPN. Dennis in Queens. Dennis, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hi, how you doing, Dave?
Good. What's up, Dennis?
Michael Vick is an idiot. He came and backtracked today, but the fact that he even fixed his mouth to say that was crazy in itself.
What did he say, that Kaepernick should get a haircut?
Yeah, that was
That's
insane.
Stupid. I agree with you. It was ridiculous.
I mean, the fact that he's better than, I'd say, all but 25 quarterbacks in the NFL, I mean, that says something about the NFL to me as well.
Wait. You think that Kaepernick is where?
He's a starter. He's better than anyone on the Jets. He's better than, say, the Bears starting quarterback. Who
No way.
They thought so.
Trubisky and Glennon. I think you take both of them over. Look, I agree with you. I think there is no reason that Colin Kaepernick, football reasons, is not in the NFL. So Where you have him ranked, I think, is up for debate. But I think you're 100% right. He should absolutely be reporting to training camp next week.
Blaine Gabbert's on the team. That's crazy.
I agree with you. I think you're right. Now, whether he's better than Tannehill or Tyrod Taylor or Trubisky or Sam Bradford, that's a conversation for a different day. Do I think that Colin Kaepernick is good enough that he should be showing up for training camp next week? 100% I do.
Talking about like maybe five places where he definitely should be a starter. I'm not saying maybe I said it wrong. Like out of 32 teams, he's better than all but say 27 quarterbacks.
No, you're saying 27 quarterbacks are better than him. You're not saying he's the fifth best quarterback in the NFL.
No, yeah.
No, he's better than what San Francisco has. Although it sounds like the Niners are really hot and heavy to go after Cousins for next year. He's better than what? Yeah, you want to say he's better than Sam Bradford? I think that you can make that argument. You want to say he's – but outside of that, I mean, he's not better than Prescott. He's not better than Eli. He's not better than Wentz. He's not better than Cousins. I don't think he's better than Chicago. He's not better than Stafford. He's not better than Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Jameis Winston. I think – and thanks for the call. I think he is deserving of a job. I have no doubt about that. But everyone that comes out and says he's a upper echelon – no, he's not. Who is he better than in the NFC? Is he better than Prescott? No way. Would you take him over Eli? No way. Carson Wentz? No way. Cousins? No. So nobody in the NFC East. Bears? You'd want Trubisky and Glennon. You happy with what you have? So no. Stafford? No. Rodgers? No. Bradford? I'll give you one. Matt Ryan? No. Cam Newton? No. Breeze? No. Winston? No. Palmer? No. Goff? I don't know. Niners, I'll give you two. Russell Wilson, no. So two. He in my mind, he is clearly better than two teams in the NFC. He should have a job. I don't doubt that for a second. And Michael Vick, I mean, just what are you doing? Go get a haircut? I mean, this guy didn't. Even if you're bothered by what he didn't physically harm anybody or anything. And I think that we all agreed that Michael Vick was deserving of a second chance. But just, I mean, come on, go get a haircut? Make yourself presentable? What are you saying? Elliot is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Elliot?
Hey, what's going on? Big Niners fan, and, with what Washington put out yesterday, the GM, what does that offer for the Niners? What are they going to offer for him as far as the trade if they're going to try to get him in a trade? And if not the Niners, what is he worth on the trade block?
You're talking about opening him up for a deal now, or you're talking about towards the end of the season?
Towards the end of the season, or
maybe re-signing him or signing him to a deal and then dealing him. I don't know. I would think that he's worthy of a number one plus. It depends. I mean, if you're San Francisco, and because they're going to be bad, you'd imagine this year. You're willing to trade a top 5 pick? I don't know that I'd give up a top 5 pick. See, here's the thing, and thanks for the call, Elliot. If I'm San Francisco and I have a brutal season and I win 3 games and I have, let's say, the 3rd pick in the draft, and all 3 guys come out, Rosen comes out, Allen comes out, Darnold comes out, do I want to pick one of those guys and be locked in for 4 or 5 years of very little money and a rookie salary cap, or do I want to be locked in to a guy that I think is good, but I have to pay $23 to $25 million a year? No, give me. I think I'd say give me the unknown. Give me the potential over knowing, because also maybe Sam Darnold's ceiling is Andrew Luck. Kirk Cousins is not. I think Kirk Cousins at some point in his career can be a top 10 quarterback, but it's not Andrew Luck. It's not. I don't even think it's Carson Wentz. I mean, if you ask me right now, you can have Carson Wentz or Kirk Cousins. I would take Wentz. It's certainly not Derek Carr. I don't think it's Mariota. It's not Andrew Luck. So there are guys over the, God knows it's not Tom Brady, not Matt Ryan. There are guys over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the duration of what you imagine Kirk Cousins will be in the prime of his career, that will clearly be more valuable than Cousins will. Pablo is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Pablo?
Dave, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. What's going on?
Not much. Calling about the Knicks, but real quick on Michael Vick. I think he's kind of crazy to be giving advice when he couldn't even keep his brother in check. But
well, could he keep himself in check? Forget about his brother. How about take and look? We've all forgiven Michael Vick. I think he's gotten another run. I think that he's been welcomed back, and I think he's deserving of that. But you're criticizing a guy for what? You don't like his hair? You don't think he looks appropriate? I mean, come on. Think of the things that he did during the course of his career.
Kaepernick hasn't committed a single crime, right?
No.
So, anyways, back on the Knicks. I guess my question is, now that we got Scott Perry, and it seems like we finally have someone who knows how to run a franchise, or at least has an idea of what he's doing, does that give Hornacek kind of like a fresh start? Do you think Perry will give him time to instill an offense, to develop the point guards, or do you think that if we implode this year, based on the talent that we have, that Hornacek has a short leash? Thanks, my friend. Take care.
Yeah, you're welcome. Boy, it's a great question, Pablo. I think, most GMs would like to have their own coach in place. So I think if the Knicks have another one of these, 25, 27, 30-win seasons, and there's a way to get away from Jeff Hornacek that Scott Perry, if it's his decision. See, that's, I thought that was interesting yesterday when he was on with Greeny and LaGreca on the Michael Kay show on 98.7 in New York. I thought the interesting thing to that for me was that, they asked him, who has the ultimate decision-making power? And he said, Steve Mills. So if Steve Mills has the ultimate decision-making power, then who, in fact, gets to choose the coach? Is it Perry? Is it Mills? Is it a combination? Do they have to agree? Or if I say, let's keep him, and Mills says, I want to go in a different direction, does that have to happen? Samir in Jersey. Samir is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Samir?
What's going on, Dave? Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I'm a fan all the way out here on the East Coast in Jersey, kind of feeling lonely, but you do what you like. Just a few points. First of all, every time a team kind of goes against a player going into contract year, most of the time the player ends up winning, just like what happened with Flacco right before he won the Super Bowl with the Ravens a couple of years ago. And then the same thing that happened over the last two seasons with Cousins. Now, I'm not saying that Cousins, just like you said, he might be a top 10 quarterback in his career, but he's not somebody that would be, a Tom Brady-like player.
No.
However, he has put his team in a really good position, and every time he banks on himself, he wins. And I don't understand the concept behind not paying him what he deserves, because at the same time, we don't have a lot of good quarterbacks in the league, and the reason goes to the college football league. The players are being rushed through their college systems. Their college systems are not NFL-ready quarterbacks because all they focus on is winning in the competition.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily, Samir, I don't think that they're rushed through. Like, you could make that argument about college basketball. They're rushed through. They're not ready. I just think it's different at the level of the NFL. I think in the NFL that these guys they're in this run and gun, run 89, 95 plays a game. And I just think that it's a very different system. And when they come to the NFL, it's very hard. And to be honest, Samir, I really believe there is no more difficult position in all of sports than to be a quarterback in the NFL. Like, you can come in, you could be a running back, and thanks to the phone call, you can have success immediately. Immediately. Take the ball, find the hole, run it. When you're the quarterback, you are in charge of everything. And just to kind of go to show you, look at some of the elite quarterbacks. I mean, big-time, all-time great quarterbacks that you look at, and they struggled mightily. Peyton Manning was horrendous when he started in the NFL. Eli Manning had a quarterback rating. There's a famous story where they went to Baltimore on a Sunday, and Eli Manning looked like he didn't belong. And they were taking the train back from Baltimore, and they walked up to him and said, "Are you going to be okay?" He said, "I'll be fine." And the next weekend against Roethlisberger and the Steelers, he was excellent. Excellent. But Troy Aikman was hideous early on in his career. So I think that, to me, it is the hardest position in all of sports to get up to speed with the quickest. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Lot on the table. Rothenberg with you, in for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds. Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
All right, Dave Rothenberg in for Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Yankees out in Minnesota again. Quick turnaround game tonight, and then they're back at it tomorrow afternoon. Tonight's pitching matchup, look, I know Sessa is no star, but listen to the numbers for Bartolo Colon on the year. Making his first start for Minnesota, he's 2-8 with an ERA over 8 and a whip of just a shade under 1.8. If you can't go out there tonight and find a way to win this game against Minnesota, and you fall to 2 games over 500, I mean, what game can you win? And then you have to go out to Seattle, and Seattle's right there. I think Seattle's 500, so it's another very tough series. So you really, like tonight's game, you never say must win. It's not a must win, but important because you should win it. 866-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Let's go to Mike in Jersey. Mike, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good, Mike.
I just wanted to talk about the Knicks and the new general manager they hired. I thought the article in the New York Times today by Michael Powell was really good. I don't know if you saw it or read it. But,
I did not. What did he say?
It's titled Hopeful Talk and Lessons Learned, and then in parentheses, or maybe not. I mean, one fact to me is with the Knicks, as a longtime fan, why should I be hopeful? It's been a revolving door. 11 coaches in the past 16 years, the author cites in the article, screams to me, Dave, no stability with the franchise.
Which is, Mike, why I have sat here for the last 24, 48 hours and said, guys, I don't believe it. Now, it's not directly at Perry. I mean, he might be a great guy, and he sounded like a wonderful guy. I heard him on the radio yesterday, and he was very cogent in his press conference. And I just, it's the team, it's the organization. I just don't buy into them. And maybe that you sit there and you go, that's a stupid thing to say. Maybe it is. But you know what? If the Giants were to make a decision, I think I'd buy into it. If the Rangers were to make a decision, I think I'd buy into it. If the Yankees make a decision, I buy into it. The Knicks have nothing to make me believe in what they are right now.
I agree with you. So, and I know they have some decent young, talent on the roster. Okay. But, this is the New York Knicks, the Garden, where basketball can overtake, the city, and they. And,
Mike, I got to be honest
they're running well,
it's the Garden, it's the city, it's the icon, it's the Mecca. I don't think I believe that anymore. Do you really think that that's the case?
Well, I think that that kind of thing where it used to be has taken a big blow, and it's been
When was the last time, Mike? When was the last time a player said, I need to play with the Knicks?
It's been a long, long time. And you know what? It was like a proof. The one year they were coached by, I forget his name, and they won the one playoff game at home under Woodson, I believe it was.
Yeah, Mike
and
Woodson,
they
right.
dropped ticker tape.
Oh, they were down 3-0 to Miami. They won Game 4, and they acted like they won a championship. I've mentioned that 100 times over the years, Mike, and thanks for the phone call. That was an embarrassing moment as a Knicks fan. You didn't win Game 3 and drop it. You won Game 4 down 3-0, and you dropped it. Milton, Central Islip. You're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I just had an opinion about the Knicks. First off, for the record, I was never one to blame Melo for the Knicks' dysfunction. I just think they never surrounded him with the right team, especially a point guard. A player like him needs a point guard. But now I'm all for, it's time for him to go. It's been time for him to go for at least a year. But mainly for this reason, there's for a number of reasons. Mainly for this reason, they need to get rid of him before the season starts. Is because with the landscape of the East, the way it is now, with Butler, Paul George, and Millsap gone, the Knicks actually have a shot at the playoffs. And that would be, we need to get in the lottery.
Wait, are you talking about you're talking about if they have Melo, they have a shot at the postseason?
If they have Melo, they have.
You say that how? Well, what? They don't have a point guard, Milton.
Yeah, well,
it's not like they don't have a good. They don't have a point guard. The only
and
point guard right now on this roster is a guy that's 18, that's never stepped foot on a professional court.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also agree all these other teams got worse. Atlanta's not going to be in the playoffs. Pacers are not. The Bulls are not. Orlando's not. Brooklyn's not. Probably Philadelphia's probably not. I mean,
who's better right now? Philadelphia or the Knicks?
Philadelphia is way better than the Knicks.
All right, so Boston is. I think Philly is. Cleveland clearly is. Milwaukee's going to get better. I just, you say you look at the Knicks as a playoff team. Now, if you really believe that you could keep Carmelo Anthony and get into the postseason, why would you not try to do something like that? I don't think they could. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're heading in the right direction with Melo. I think you should wipe it clean, get bad to be able to get good. But if you really believe that they could get a 6 seed or a 7 seed and be a playoff team, you know what? I'd be willing to roll the dice with that. I don't think they could. I don't think they can. I think that Melo is on the back end. I think he's a very one-dimensional player right now. I'm ready to build around the young kids. I am. You want Courtney Lee? Make an offer, you can have him. You want Melo? Make an offer, you can have him. I'm building around, Ntilikina. I'm building around Porzingis. I'm building around Hernan Gomez. And I'd like to see a little more of Kuzminskis and Ron Baker, I guess, as well. That's what I'm doing. I'm not building around guys in their 30s at this point. I'm building around the youth at this point. All right, guys, outstanding show. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, in for Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.